talking about shoppable, clickable television, what is important to me is looking at how video and television is transforming the commerce experience at large. In fact, part of the reason we found and built this business is to realize that video is going to be the center of the universe from a shopping perspective, from the way that we think about it today. Very different than, the days of traveling brick and mortar, always going to live. The days of shopping a static e-commerce site, always going to live. But the future of shopping is built around my video experience. Video consumption is on the rise. In fact, the current Gen Z youngest cohort consumes more video than any generation ever before them, and they discover most of what they discover in their video feeds, whether that's watching streaming on their device, watching some sort of short form in a place like YouTube, or watching their social media feeds. And so really the genesis of Soon is built from understanding the reality that video becomes the primary means of discovery in the future. For marketing, if you're leading marketing at a brand and you're thinking about where is the next frontier of getting my brand discovered or reinforcing my brand's relationship with the consumer, you're going to find it in that video box, whether it's a large screen sitting in the living room, which is still getting consumed, or it's that small device held in the palm of a consumer's hands. If video is not at the forefront of thinking about how you're creating commerce, you're going to find yourself on the back end of a competitive set that's going to sweep around you. There are a couple things coming down the marketing pike that I'm very excited about. One is the introduction of generative AI. We're all talking about it and how it can help to speed the discovery and the creative process, particularly in the copy or voice of a brand. The other piece is clickable, shoppable, streamable video, right? Those two things are going to probably find some way of converging over the course of the next few years, and both should be in your lens if you're a head of marketing or in any marketing capacity. Yeah, so a couple things as I think about shaping a marketing team. One is, how connected are you to the voices that are capturing consumers' and audiences' attention today? So as you look out into the landscape of media and entertainment, do you have marketing talent that can see where the trends are going and who the personalities are that are interesting to audiences and growing in their power and their influence? Because you want talent that can understand to capture an audience. I need to know the people that can capture an audience. And so having great creative and telling a great brand story is really important, but increasingly we're telling those brand stories through other people, influencers, celebrity, media personalities that have direct connection, direct voices to their following in a way that they've never had before. Before, you were in a static, one-directional relationship with consumers, whether I was a celebrity or a sports star, right? I was performing and others could see me. Now I directly, right? I'm using all sorts of media, video and otherwise, feeds to engage directly with the audience, and they have far more influential power than probably they've ever had before. I think the skill that matters today is probably a skill that mattered 20 years ago, and that's ability to identify and lead talent. And at the core of this, it's your ability to assess who's going to be the best parts of your team to help you capitalize on the changing trends that are happening inside of the commerce media landscape. And that's no different than it was 20 years ago. It's always been about, do I have great talent on my team? And as a leader, do I know how to curate that talent, develop that talent, and harness their skills to help our businesses grow? The best mindset to have is versatility, agility, and humility. At the end of the day, right, when the landscape is shifting, you have to recognize that what you thought was correct yesterday may not be right today, and certainly won't be right tomorrow. You have to be prepared to adapt and adjust your approach, your strategy, your tools, the capabilities inside your organization. And again, you have to be able to do that at speed, right? So being versatile is great, but if you're slow, you're going to miss it. And so, I step back and go, listen, the things you need to be thinking about is, are you humble enough to understand it's time to change? Are you versatile enough to know how to make the change? And can you do it agilely enough and be fast enough? I think the way you create safety in a uncertain environment is by giving your team and giving talent, right, room to try and room to fail without some sort of significant consequence for making a mistake, right? If I'm afraid that at the end of the day I'm going to be stood up and held up as an example for someone who didn't get it right, my courage to take chance is going to be constrained. So I think in this environment, I work to create a space where, look, failing is always a valuable point of learning and inflection. And so you have to be able to take risk in an uncertain place. You have to be real tolerant of failure, tolerant of mistakes. And then you can have a team who'll be willing and ready and able to take those risks. But if you as a leader have the proclivity at times to show up and say, here's something that went wrong, and make a person a public example of a mistake that's being made, and it still happens, even though we all talk about this, it still happens every day in offices everywhere, and it constrains a team's ability to take the risks necessary to find new paths to growth.